So I welcome you officially to the third and final webinar of this series, Life on Mars, Science through Art. I would like to introduce you this final webinar has a more holistic approach than the other ones. I will give the floor to Laura Caruso to introduce the other ladies of the webinar today. And we are going to see 3 or 4 different things today, different than the other ones. So, Laura, you may share your screen. Welcome.
Thank you, Yasmi. Thank you. And I really want to say hello to all the participants. And it's great because we are connected from 3 different time zones, from London, Italy, and Greece. So it's great because we have 3 different time zones. So I'm Laura Caruso. Me, Ilaria Margutti, and Alice Soffanelli, we are the team from Caserma Archeologica. Caserma Archeologica is an organization in San Sepolcro, a small town in Tuscany. San Sepolcro is where Piero della Francesca was born. So this is our place, and is a cultural project that comes from the rebuilding of an ancient palace called Palazzo Muglioni Palace. And this process was born from Ilaria Margutti. She is a teacher and also an artist. She started 10 years ago finding the place thanks to the municipality, and inviting her students to come and take care of this public space that now, after big work, also a big work from the organization, now is a cultural space open every day. It's a place where artists and people comes to see exhibition, to have artist residents, to study, and to have workshops. So this is just to give you more information about Caserma Archeologica and Ilaria Margutti, because now we are going to have our workshop with Ilaria. Ilaria is graduated to the Art Academy in Florence. She had several exhibitions in Italy and abroad, starting from a pictorial style of expressionist derivation. From 2007, she began to use embroidery as a fundamental element of her study. Embroidery is a technique full of symbolic meanings. It's a slow process, constructive, cognitive, and educational. Ilaria Margutti, with her work, tells about women and about the female point of view, showing the relationship between visible and invisible. Ilaria Margutti is going to have an exhibition in the Woman in the Sky. Woman in the Sky is the big, now I stop my presentation because I don't want to. So I can introduce the other speakers in our talk. Okay, we are going to have a talk with Natacha Fabbri. She is a professor of history of science at the University of Siena and researcher at the Galileo Museum in Florence. She is the curator of the exhibition Woman in the Sky, also with Caterina Guiducci and Simona Mammana from the Italian National Library in Florence. Woman in the Sky focused on the role of women in astronomical research from the Renaissance to 20th century. In this exhibition, we have artworks from Ilaria Margutti. The exhibition is right now at the National Library of Florence with historical documents from the library, with machines from Galileo Museum and artworks, as I said. The exhibition has been supported from different institutions and the fundamental support from Calliope Arts Foundation. So now we have here, and I really want to say thanks to her, Margie MacKinnon. She is the president of Calliope Arts Foundation. The mission of Calliope Arts is to further public knowledge of underappreciated female contribution to the visual arts, literature, music, and social history in Florence, London, and the world, all around the world. And Margie MacKinnon, she is also here with us. So this is just to give you the road, the map of our speakers. And then, first of all, I give back the floor to Yasmi for an interactive moment with the participants. Thank you all.
Thank you, Laura. So, in this presentation, you will find all the relative links that people are going to talk about. But before we start with Margie, I would like you to think in a more out-of-the-box concept. So we are going to, you are going to be asked to fill in a Mentimeter as the other days. But I would like you to give you the scenario of this. Let's say that you walk in the nature and you explore around and you enter, you see a little cave, and in the entrance of the cave, you find this wooden picture, not picture, this wooden painting, let's say, which, as you see, it's much destroyed. So you wonder where it came from, who made it, what colors were used, what other materials were used, and how the original looks like, and if there is a chance, how you could restore it. So you go out, you find something that could be very valuable or not, but for sure it has a story behind it, and you will be asked to think how many jobs, professions, experts, sciences are needed in order to renovate it, to restore it. So you will go to the Menti here. I will put in the chat the link so that you may visit. Oops, just a minute. Sorry. Here, chat, everyone. And I will upload also the QR code. So you go there and you have to fill in this. You walk in the nature and you find this old wooden painting in a cave. Which sciences, professions should cooperate to restore it?
Πρέπει να ανοίξουμε κι άλλο τον ποφλό, άμα χρειαστεί.
Please turn off your microphones. Let me do it for you.
Sorry, Yasmin.
Yes?
We can have multiple choices.
Yes, you can have multiple choices.
I'm not allowed to in mine.
Ah, no. Sorry for that. Okay, that's my mistake.
It might be also mine. I don't know if it's for everyone.
No, it could be for everyone.
No, it is for everyone. I can
Okay,
wait.
never mind. Write in the chat if you, of course, you know the answer, but just write it there. All of them, of course. And since it didn't work because of me, let's see from Margie MacKinnon now how in reality an old painting and an old piece of art is restored. So, Margie, shall I share?
Yeah, if you want to put up the first slide, please.
Just a minute. Here it is. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to participate. And thank you to Yasmi and Laura for organizing this webinar. And good afternoon to all the participants. It's a real pleasure to be here. My name is Margie MacKinnon. I am the co-founder of Calliope Arts Foundation. And our mission at Calliope Arts is to restore women's creative achievements through the centuries, whether as artists, writers, musicians, or scientists. So we are basically storytellers. We tell women's stories, and we create a record of those stories that allows as many people as possible to learn about them. One of the ways that we achieve our mission is by sponsoring the restoration of paintings by historic women artists. Today, I'm going to talk about the restoration of a painting titled The Allegory of Inclination, which you can see on the screen, a part of it there. It was painted in 1616 in Florence, Italy, by a young woman called Artemisia Gentileschi. The painting is part of a ceiling decoration in a museum dedicated to the great Renaissance master, Michelangelo. The inclination in the painting's title refers to Michelangelo's innate desire and ability to create art. So the purpose of my presentation today is to show you that the restoration of a painting is a meeting point of art and science. An object created from the imagination, inspiration, and artistic ability of an artist can be brought back to life hundreds of years later through the application of a wide range of scientific techniques. Some are very basic, and others are incredibly sophisticated. So the first question to ask is, why does the painting need to be restored? In this case, the painting is over 400 years old. So turning to environmental science, we can readily appreciate that it has been subjected to environmental factors that have led to its deterioration. Atmospheric pollution, such as dust and smoke, and changes of temperature and humidity all take a toll.
Margie, shall I go further the presentations or no?
You can move to the next slide if you like. And chemistry tells us, sorry, you've gone too far. Yeah, if you can just stop there at that one, that's great. Chemistry tells us that pigments in paint will fade and varnish will discolor over time. A second reason for restoring this particular work relates to its history. On the instructions of Michelangelo Buonarroti the Younger, who commissioned the work, the allegorical figure of inclination was painted as a nude woman. About 50 years later, the social climate in Italy had become much more conservative, and a different member of the Buonarroti family hired an artist to cover up the offending bits with a big swirling veil, which you can see very clearly in the middle of the painting. We wanted to use the restoration to unveil the figure, not by physically removing the overpainting, but by means of a digital reconstruction. In other words, by using the most up-to-date technology, we hope to create an accurate image of what the painting looked like when it was first painted by Artemisia. Next slide, please. The restoration process itself began, as many scientific inquiries do, with basic observation. Scaffolding was set up in the gallery, and the restoration team was able to examine the painting up close for the first time. Another science, physics, explains other signs of wear in the painting. Because it had been hanging face down for 400 years, gravity had caused the canvas to sag in the middle, creating visible cracking in the paint layers. Now we can have the next slide, please. Before any restoration treatments could be undertaken, the painting was subjected to a vast array of diagnostic imaging over a 6-month period. This included X-rays, reflectography scanning in various light spectrums, laser scanning, and something called optical coherence tomography. I will not pretend to understand the technology behind all of these processes. It is enough to know that the diagnostic testing gave a clear picture of the painting's condition. This dramatic slide, an image of the painting in raking light, illustrates the serious damage the painting had sustained and the urgent need for restoration. And can we move to the next slide, please? So here we can see the many different phases of restoration. On the left of this slide, you can see the restorer examining the painting with a digital microscope. The light she is shining on the painting is creating an image on her computer, which records the findings. For example, the age and thickness of the varnish. The center photo shows that some tasks still need to be carried out the slow, old-fashioned way. Here, the restorer is removing yellowed varnish centimeter by centimeter with a cotton swab dipped in a carefully prepared solution that will lift the varnish without damaging the paint layer. Over the years, restorers have experimented with different solvent mixtures to allow them to remove dirt and grime while preserving the paint surface. The photo on the right shows the restorer and the structural conservator completing repairs to the painting's structural integrity, which is to say, the condition of the canvas and the stretcher. This was a long, many-stage process, which included a Japanese technique using a glue called jun funori, which is derived from red algae. The jun funori solution allowed the canvas fibers to soften and the paint surface to become smoother. So I think here we can add biology to the list of sciences involved. Next slide, please. Almost all of the restoration was carried out at Casa Buonarroti Museum, which meant that visitors to the museum could watch the restorer at work and ask her questions about the process. Many school groups, as well as professional restorers from around the world, came to visit. The painting left the museum for 1 week to undergo diagnostic tests, which is what you can see in this slide here, at the National Institute of Optics. Their equipment is too sensitive and far too expensive to be moved, so it was easier to take the painting to them. Next slide, please. So, and we also had experts from the National Research Council conduct studies to see how the artist prepared the canvas, executed the paint layer, and most importantly, which pigments she used. Taking micro samples, less than 1 millimeter each, from various parts of the painting, they were able to provide a chemical analysis of the makeup of each pigment. Next slide, please. And this is some of the results of that analysis. The information from this analysis is essential for the restorer in deciding what agents to use during the cleaning process and how to safely remove old yellowing varnish without damaging the underlying paint layer, as well as for touch-ups to fill any gaps in the work. Next slide, please. So at the outset of the process, it was not certain that we would be able to see the inclinations forms beneath the surface of the censoring veils, which had been laid on with a very heavy hand. Ultimately, it was necessary to use X-ray technology to read deeper into the paint layers and produce an image from which a digital reconstruction could be made. The X-ray confirmed that Artemisia had painted a fully nude figure with only a thin, diaphanous veil covering her upper thighs and stomach. Next slide, please. Here, you can see the digital recreation of Artemisia's painting. On the left, the different colored lines represent the contours that became visible with the application of different diagnostic tools. I don't know if you can see it well, but the blue lines are those which were visible with the X-ray, where the paint layer was the thickest. Next slide, please. To fulfill our mission of telling the story of the restoration of Artemisia's allegory of inclination as widely as possible, we held an exhibition at the Casa Buonarroti Museum to display the restored painting and the digital image we had created. Next slide. The restoration was documented through photographs, videos, and magazine articles, all of which can be accessed via the Calliope Arts website. Next slide, please. So these are the details where you can find out more about Calliope Arts and our projects. Next slide, please. In this presentation, I have focused on the science behind the restoration of a historic artwork. It is important to remember that in art restoration, ultimately, the science serves the art. The goal is to extend the life of the painting while maintaining its integrity, both structurally and symbolically. In the context of this webinar, it is especially significant to point out that Artemisia's composition was inspired, in part, by her friendship with Galileo. The magnetic compass in the painting, which is the object you can see her holding, is directed towards the North Star, a guiding force for Michelangelo's artistry and for Galileo's scientific discoveries. The beautiful allegorical figure in Artemisia's work is also a woman of the sky. Thank you very much, and I will hand back to Yasmin.
Thank you. It was amazing to see the whole procedure. And from the Galileo's friend, let's go to the Galileo's Museum and Research Place with Natacha Fabbri, who is going to present us the exhibition, The Women of the Sky. You may share well.
Yes, of course. Good afternoon, and thank you, Yasmin, Laura, and Ilaria for inviting me. And I'm sharing. Maybe. Does it work? No.
Yes, Natasha.
Yes, perfect. Okay. So this exhibition, Women of the Sky, was conceived by the Museo Galileo and the National Library of Florence under the patronage of the municipality of Florence and with the contribution of Calliope Arts Foundation. And I thank Calliope Arts again, the Regione Toscana and Caserma Archeologica, especially for the participation of Ilaria Margutti. And so let me introduce you to the three curators, so Caterina Guiducci and Simona Mammana from the National Library of Florence, and myself from the Museo Galileo. So through more than 100 original works from the 16th to the early 20th century, this exhibition explores how women inhabited, described, studied the sky, and also how they were represented in the sky as muses or constellations, or they were represented on the surface of the moon, for instance. The exhibition runs over 3 centuries and is divided into 7 sections. Ilaria's works and the scientific instruments are not 2 isolated sections, as they created a constant dialogue with the topics addressed in the works that are displayed in the showcases. This exhibition has, I would say, different souls, as it intertwines philosophy, astronomy, literature, and art. So it displays different works, canvases, books, engravings, watercolor sketches, musical scores, manuscripts, videos, audio recordings. And we also adopted, of course, different languages, so visual languages, images, and textual languages. We are very satisfied with the school's involvement. In 1 month, we received reservations for more than 300 students coming from different Italian cities, from Tuscany, Siena, San Sepolcro, and Florence, from Lazio, Rome, from Puglia, Altamura, and even from Emilia-Romagna, Finale Emilia. We also organized 6 special and unique visits with the collaboration of the Basilica of Santa Croce and the Museum of Horn and Casa Vasari, 2 very important cultural institutions in Florence. And visitors have the rare opportunity to see unique astronomical instruments, very rare pocket globes, one of the smallest scientific books in the world, rare musical scores, of course, watercolor sketch by Bernardo Bontalenti, and the manuscripts by Galileo Galilei as well. But today I will like to focus on the tools, on the theoretical and also material tools, and on the solutions we adopted to communicate with students and mainly with high school students. But let me start by clarifying 3 points. Firstly, why an exhibition on this topic? Secondly, why an exhibition in a library, and why in the National Library of Florence? And thirdly, why an exhibition relying on a strong historical and philosophical structure? As you will see from the answers to these 2 questions, the main interlocutor of this exhibition are students. So, with this exhibition, we wanted to create a dialogue between past and present, between history and current events, especially on topical subjects, as we are aware of the important role played by memory in shaping personal identity and collective identity. So we are living in the time of the Artemis mission. NASA started this mission when its new moon rocket, called Artemis I, was launched from the Kennedy Space Center on November 2022. And the mission's name itself bears reference to a woman, Artemis, the goddess of the moon. Indeed, this mission aims not only to return to the moon, but also to enable a woman to land on the moon for the first time and to participate in a colonization project. This is a significant shift from the past, a shift from the Apollo mission, and this is also a relevant difference from how we have reflected upon the relationship between human beings and the sky. Moreover, in this case now, women are among the protagonists of this astronomical, anthropological, political, and social endeavor. And therefore, we aimed to create and to stress this dialogue between history and current events, to underscore the long-lasting presence also of some topics, such as the so-called female question on women's dignity, an issue already raised in the 16th century. In the past and even today, female question on one hand and astronomy on the other were conceived as a two-way relationship. So claims on the intellectual equality have historically contributed to the growing presence of women in the field of astronomy, and vice versa. The latter has provided and also has been providing a significant contribution to the recognition of equal opportunities in science. The second point, why an exhibition in a library and why in the National Library of Florence? I presume not everyone knows the story of the National Library of Florence. This library preserves most of Galileo's manuscripts, and this vast documentary heritage makes the library the perfect interlocutor for the Museo Galileo. Moreover, the National Library has many huge and significant historical book collections. So therefore, when students enter the library to visit the exhibition, they can almost touch history with their hands, metaphorically, of course. They see historical books and manuscripts dating back to the 16th and 17th century, not in their digital versions, not in modern editions. So it's essential to give students an idea of what history is, not only of how history is described or depicted or reproduced. Moreover, the National Library is a historical building erected in the first decades of the 20th century, and its main room that you can see in that picture, the Dante Hall, is the perfect space for our exhibition. Because the Dante Hall was transformed with this exhibition into a temple of astronomy that hosts dialogues among women, between women and men, and also dialogues about women. Thirdly, why an exhibition with a strong historical and philosophical ground? So this project aims to valorize, to cast light on the cultural heritage of the National Library of Florence, of the Museo Galileo, in a dialogue with contemporary art, with Ilaria Margutti canvases, and with her interpretation of the research and the work of an important astronomer, film astronomer, Henrietta Leavitt. But it's also, and this is one of the most considerable efforts, an attempt to adapt an academic and scientific research to the language of an exhibition, to the language of a model of public education. And how did we enliven this heritage, and what instruments did we use? First of all, I would like to say that this is not an encyclopedia of women of science, of women astronomers. It's not intended to be a gallery of women, an anthology of champions of science, an anthology of the first woman who discovered, attended, reached, speculated on some topic. Conversely, we wanted to suggest and to stress the elements of a dialogue among women and between women and men on several topics, key topics. And so we have works, books, engravings, and musical compositions in which women are muses of astronomy. Then they become interlocutors in treatises dealing with astronomical topics or dialogues focusing on women's dignity. Some of these dialogues are authored by women and others are dedicated or addressed to women. And finally, we have some very protagonists of the scientific endeavor, scientific research, and we arrive at women who discovered important celestial phenomena or laws. In the showcases, we always have concise captions in Italian and English, brief bilingual descriptions of the main topic of the section, and also 2 QR codes. Because we made several multimedia videos to illustrate through a selection of some works in order to cast light of some concepts, to illustrate so through images and not only through verbal descriptions, the main topics of the section. In each video, we also added a specific music composition, and I chose 7 pieces because we had 7 videos. 7 pieces composed by women that were strongly connected to the subject of the section they described. In addition, and especially thinking of schools, we realized a digital thematic library. This digital library, just as the playlist of the videos I mentioned, can be accessed remotely. So, and this extensive accessibility is another important point on which I would like to focus. The digitalization of the exhibition, of the works presented in the exhibition, and the possibility to visit the exhibition virtually and access the works that compose the exhibition enable us to bridge 3 different moments of the exhibition: the visit itself, the pre-visit phase, and the post-visit phase. At the Museo Galileo, we usually encourage people, mainly teachers and students, but also general public, to prepare for the visit by watching the videos they can find on our website. And this exhibition follows the same pattern. The website presents items and links to the videos and to some books or engravings or artworks. Of course, people can use and watch this material even during the visit, because there is a big touch screen to watch the videos that is located just at the exhibition entrance. But people can also watch them again and again, endlessly, if they wish, after the visit. The digital library, instead, is more important for the post-visit phase, as it's conceived to become a tool for teaching activities in class. Teachers and students can therefore retrace the exhibition structure or examine, read, discuss in class specific writings or iconographical works. The exhibition makes this huge material available to a large public and even to everyone. So until now, this cultural heritage was reserved only for scholars, was difficult to consult, or in some cases, it was even excluded from learn or from consultation. So it's a cultural heritage that is often difficult to understand, and that in this exhibition is now reframed and present in a different light, especially thanks to the dialogue created with contemporary art. Now I conclude by saying that this project gathers different kinds of consideration, a huge array of sources, and also, and this is the key point of this meeting, an interplay between art and science. And it wants to present an important but also sensitive topic, like the presence of women in science and the dignity of women and other related topics. But with this work of digitalization and with the creation of a digital library, this huge heritage and this array of topics can also enter classrooms and be a starting point for a plurality of dialogues and discussion among students. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you very much. Very impressive. And the educational pathway that you have created, it is really an add-in to this science thing. So before we move to the artistic part now, are there any questions for our guests, Natasha and Margie? Or we are going to have a discussion in the end? Okay, since there are no questions, let's move on with Ilaria Margutti or Laura Caruso. Who is going to be first? Ilaria, ok.
Allora, hai condiviso lo schermo? Condiviso. Prima no, questo. Ok. Welcome everyone. I'm Ilaria. I will tell you about my artistic project dedicated to the study of the stars and now exhibited at the National Library of Florence, thanks to a project created with the Galileo Museum and the curatorship of Natacha Fabbri, present here with us. The title of exhibition is Women of the Sky, from Muses to Scientists. Was born from the corpus of hand-embroidered works called the Swan variables. This consists of 7 canvases, each measuring 280 centimeters, created over a period of then 2 years. The artworks are dedicated to scientist Henrietta Swan Leavitt, who, through her research cataloging thousands of sapphire stars, discovered how to measure distance between celestial bodies, making the universe three-dimensional and infinitely vast. The title doesn't refer to a constellation, but to Leavitt's second name, Swan, imagining her as a celestial swan among the stars. Before delving into the details of my artistic journey that led to these works, I'd like to quote a phrase from John David Barrow, a physicist and a scientist, from his work, The Theories of Everything. Nature is a beautiful tapestry of which we can only see the back, and observing the slow threads, we try to understand the design in front. This quote has followed me through the years, allowing me to explore the invisible relationship between the things that hide behind each of my canvas. Through this project, I was able to merge my 2 passions, the research and the discovery of the sky, with everything related to thread, fabric, and my artistic research, bringing together on canvas 2 stories that share many similarities.
C'è una video.
It's really, really short.
It seems to be stuck. If you have the link of the video to share it with in the chat, maybe it's better.
Alice, the video is not
We have
working.
some little problem with the internet.
Okay, so please, Alice, can you put the link on the chat? So
No, one moment.
It works. It works. Do you see it?
2 minutes.
girls, the video is stopped, and also you.
Sorry.
We have a little problem with internet. Maybe we can share the link so everybody can see the short video.
Per far vedere come
Because Ilaria want to show with you how her embroidery in her work.
Ok.
So, okay, proceed.
Henrietta Leavitt, through the study of Cepheids, a particular type of stars, discovered how to measure the distance between celestial bodies by overlaying negative and positive photographic plates from different periods of the small Magellanic Cloud. She observed the cyclicality of the intermittency of light from these stars, thanks to a great discipline of observation and cataloging. Among the various accounts of Henrietta Leavitt, the one that inspired me was writing in 1908, in which she catalogued 1,777 variables positioned in the small Magellanic Cloud, and they published in the Annals of the Harvard College Observatory. It consisted of 21 pages, including 2 plates and 15 pages of table. Leavitt's research on measuring distance between Cepheids expanded our vision of the universe beyond previously calculable distance, making space three-dimensional and surpassing the boundaries of imagination. Conversazione in corso. As I got more involved into the research, I recognized parallels between my embroidery and the methods of exploring the universe, as if they were two sides of the same coin, a back and a front of a fabric in the making. Inspired by Leavitt's work, I began to embroider the black stars in white nights that emerge from her overlapping plates. Simultaneously, on the back of canvas, a network of distances and connections made of thread formed a drawing that was not connection made of thread formed, a drawing that was not dependent on the artist's will, but on the needle's movement, revealing directions which don't appear on the front. Barrow's quote embodies this relationship. The process reveals itself only in its making. Embroidery requires a discipline, a gesture, and a cyclical movement that seem motionless yet drags into a different infinite dimension. Seeing a photograph of Leavitt sitting at a small table, scrutinizing tiny points of light between a magnifique glass and air plates, made me think of how, in the position, she could touch infinity with her finger, altering humanity's destiny and adding more space to explore. The same feeling I wanted to experience while sitting almost still, embroidering her coordinates and her infinite luminous point, but also to create other universe yet to be discovered. I believe this is a task of the artist as well as the scientist, to add space and time to listen, observe, explore. Textile artist Maria Lai said that art doesn't provide answers, but indicates directions. I may add direction to be investigated, following the desire for knowledge and of continuous expansion with the universe, which, immense as it may be, is not infinite, but uncreable to our observation. As a science high school art history teacher, and this is another argomento, quindi qui puoi andare avanti. Ok, no, qui stiamo I always tried to find bridge between art and science, to bring my students closer to the love of research and to learn to observe what surrounds us with curious eyes, of who never stops imagining, like an artist. That's because I think it's increasingly important to connect disciplines that may seem distant, because now, more than ever, it's very important to nurture imagination in younger generation. Even the workshop I will conduct in Crete at the Museum of Natural Science aims to develop listening and observation methods deriving from scientific ones, and will be a continuation of the workshop started here at Caserma Archeologica. The focus will shift from studying the sky to exploring various forms of lichens, which somewhat resemble galaxies. Lichens result from the association of two organisms, a fungus and an alga, living in symbiosis, benefiting mutually. The fungus survives thanks to the organic compounds produced by the alga, while the other receives protection, mineral salt, and water in return. Together, we'll embroider to create a collective canvases where many people will have shared time together, exchange talks, and observe the details of an invisible nature as lichens touch us. I'm finished. Greet to everyone for your attention, and thanks. Laura, a te la parola.
Thank you, Ilaria. Thank you. And thank you for your effort. It was very hard effort to read English. I know that you're not very competent in English, but thank you very much. So, Laura, your turn.
Thank you. And okay, I continue telling as Ilaria Margutti created also a method that we use in Caserma Archeologica from 10 years. So we are finding out that it can be a good way to bring young people, students of different order of school in understanding or in following the process, the art process, that is something very close, as you heard from Ilaria, to the science process. So it's a way to register how the experience. So as Galileo Galilei with the scientific method found out, with this method, we try to make young people closer to different process. So now I share. Condividi. No, sorry, it's not here. It's here because I have to presentazione. Okay. Sorry, okay. I have to make like this. I cannot okay, make it in the okay. Can you see?
Yes,
Yes.
but
Okay.
you have to go on. You have to go
Yes.
to your place.
Yes, sorry. Okay. So this it was the last, no, not last. Some pictures from this big canvas. This canvas is something that started in San Sepolcro and then will continue it in Creta in September. So please,
Can you put it in full presentation?
yeah, this is what I cannot find now. I tried before and it was working. Now
In the left,
in the
down left, down left, down.
Okay.
Laura, in basso a
yes.
sinistra.
Okay, sorry, Thank you, ladies. Sorry. So this is now you have to see that in this picture you can see also Yasmi making embroideries with nice scorpions. As you know, she is a researcher in scorpions, and so it's a way to call the people to have time to work together without having fear to make something wrong. It's really something that everybody can do. Ilaria usually gives us some instructions. Then we can follow the instruction, or we can make in a different way. But everything, it's the canvas tell about that everything is connected. So as we stay there talking and trying to do this all together, so the nature is everything is connected from the ground to the sky. So she had a similar workshop also in the exhibition, in a workshop in which people could have their embroidery in these small circles. So inspired in this case to the sky and to the Henrietta Leavitt works. As you can see, the inspiration of Ilaria is just that map with small points. These tell me, for example, that for an artist, everything can be an inspiration. So also for us teaching, also me, I'm a teacher, we can find inspiration to talk with students, putting together different stuff and putting there in the condition to make experience of this and give them an instrument to register all this experience. So I show you the classroom from Ilaria. This is the method now. From 10 years before that Caserma Archeologica was born. I have to say that Caserma Archeologica was born because Ilaria had needed a place to make an exhibition of these agendas. This is okay, you can see this is a small exhibition in Galileo Museum, starting in this case from 4 artists, Anish Kapoor, Maria Lai, Thomas Saraceno, Eliasson Olafur. So telling about this, teaching about these artists, these contemporary artists. Usually in Italy, we don't study these artists so contemporary. We stop usually to Picasso. So Ilaria starts in the 3rd class, so the students are usually 16, start teaching this kind of artist and telling about their poetry, their language, their artworks, of course. So the young people can choose one or more of these artists or just one artwork if they want, and they start composing their own book. It's a white book. Ilaria gives them one book for each student, and they start this process during 6 months usually. Every 2 weeks they have a moment with the teacher, so they can discuss with the teacher. We have to say that this is not in an art school. They are students in a scientific school, so they are not these guys and girls, they don't want to be artists. So this is a real a process that makes them in the way to understand something about themselves, about the world, about their friends. So is really not an artistic vocated course. You can see some of the last agendas. They are inspired to the relationship between art and science, starting from that 4 artists that I told to you. So this is some picture from these agendas. As you can see, young people can do a lot using what they want, materials, words, drawings, paper, different stuff, or leaves, as you can see, and burning pages. Okay, really moving in different directions, with the guide of the teacher that leads all the process. Not lead, but is there to have a talk with them in different points and trying to find a direction page by page, because all of them, almost all of them, they are feared in the beginning from the white page, as you can imagine. Then, they can start from a point, and all the book is like a trip in which they find and try and register their experiment also. I want to share to you also more of this, because on our website we have different examples from different years, because we make this project from 10 years, almost more than 10 years, because as I said, the project works from before Caserma is working. So can you see, just to check? I show you some picture from exhibition, because every year we stage these agendas in different ways. So this has been one of the first exhibition of agendas in Caserma Archeologica. And we leave, and an important thing is that the young students, they know from the beginning that these agendas will be in exhibition. So it's not a secret diary. It's not something that they know that someone that they don't know will read, will see their work. So it's something, not a secret diary, but we have to say that really these young people wants to communicate something of themselves, and so usually you can find something very moving. Okay, so this has been one of the first exhibition with these small tables from the school, as you can recognize. Then this has been another. Okay. And then you can see now some particulars. We show you just because we want to inspire you. If you want to use this kind of method with your students, I have to say that is useful also for younger students. For example, I teach with younger students. I use this method. Of course, you will have different results, and so you can adjust. You can use the right input. Now you can see something. Usually you can see also more. Ilaria use also Marina Abramovic or Maria Lai. Yes, I said yet. Or Ilaria, which other artist you inspire? It depends from the topic she decide to propose to the students. Okay. I show you something more. You can find on our website. All students, they know that we publish their work, so they are agree, of course. This is another exhibition. They can work inside and, of course, outside of the book. All the book are the same. They have a black cover and white pages without nothing. But then, in the end, each of them it's particular, it's singular. Yes, these are pictures from people also, or maybe they can, of course, they can have their embroidery, because the teacher is a big embroidery artist, so they can do something inspiring to their work, to her work. Here is wrote a place full of taste. This is something coming from the COVID period. This is chi sono io, who I am. So, yeah. Really, I want to say again that they are not artists. Okay, this is very important because they are not searching the shape to impress someone. It's something about telling of their own interiority, inspiring to the artistic languages. So that's it. Some more. If you come to Caserma Archeologica, you can see more and more. They are some in the year by year. We had agendas from different classrooms. So some of them, they come back and they find their agenda of 10 years before. So you can see, you can imagine that someone 20 years old, they can find, now maybe they are at university, they can come back finding their book from their younger period. So some of them, we love them, of course, a lot, but this is, we wanted to show it just because, just because it's, we are finding out that it's a good way. For example, we worked in this with this method also in a short time, not 6 months, but 2 weeks, with a groups from an American school. They had the time in Italy, so we had a meeting with them in the beginning, telling about some artists. Then in the middle of their trip, and then in the end, giving them some input and asking them to register all their experience in Italy on the agenda, using all the materials they wanted. And then also in that case, we found out that it works. And having also a nice exercise, giving them the page and asking to change with the friend next to their table. So trying also to cross the agendas. So having like a dialogue in the pages with some of the group. So are small input that young people usually explore, and you cannot, you never know in the beginning what is is going, because you have to stay in the process also, and trusting them and trusting in them and in the inspiration they can find from the artistic languages. So this is our we wanted to share with you, because we find that is useful also to across science and art, of course, or other topics that you want to try. And please, if you try, send to us, because we are always in searching how this method can work in other contexts.
Thank you, Laura. To be honest, I will try this book. When I saw it in Caserma in February, I was very, very impressed. And I'm going to use it to my students of biology department next semester. This will be one of their projects, to choose an order of animals, let's say, and put whatever they can find about these animals in a little book like that, without computer. No computer, because, yeah, in the university, computer is the first thing that they do. So I would like to we have some time for questions and suggestions and some conversation on that. And before I stop talking, I will put in the chat the link for the form that you have to fill in order for us to be able to issue the certificates. Please try to fill it no later than on Wednesday. Wednesday will be the last day to fill it in, because afterwards we will have to gather all the information and start issuing the certificates, which will take some time. And also I would like to tell you that the homework that I have put in the previous webinar, because somebody asked me, I will send an email to everybody who attended it, that you have a deadline, let's say, until the end of Eastern holidays. For Greece, it is the Eastern holidays, 12th of May, I think. It's the end. Yes. So until 12th of May, it's a deadline to send us the homeworks. We have some homeworks. Yes, Francesca, I see. Take a picture and send it to us. Great. Great, thanks. So I will, when you fill in the form, I will send to all the emails that I find there, the presentation. This is the form. To everyone, sorry. I sent it only to one person. Yes, I will send to all the emails, the PDF and the webinar that will be online on our YouTube channel. So I stop talking now. And if you have anything to ask to these people here, to our guests, please feel free to ask or put your input in the chat.
For example, I want to say that in the beginning, when Margie was telling about the restoration process, I thought that maybe it is a perfect process that we can register in agenda, because we found out that it works more with different input, with different techniques, having a cross there, is a good way to put different stuff that find the same format
Yes.
in the agenda. So should be nice to propose it, for example, in a restoration school or somewhere where the process is so important. for the results also.
We have a question in the chat. What instructions do the students get in order to start making their notebooks? What instructions, guidelines, what would you ask them to do?
Okay, so I asked to Ilaria to help me. Also, I can,
Mi traduce Alice. Ok. Prima faccio delle lezioni
We don't listen to you very well. Ilaria, could you
First
turn
of
off?
all, Ilaria
Ragazzi,
introduced
sorry.
to the students the artist. Do you hear me?
not really.
Now, do you hear me?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
In the second times, Ilaria helped the students to
oltrepassare.
to afford the fear of the white page.
E di solito ci vogliono almeno un mese per farlo.
And it takes a month usually.
E poi loro cominciano, prima lavorano sulle opere degli artisti.
Then the students works on the opera, on the works of the artist.
E in modo che si possano ispirare
So they can be inspired by the artistic works.
E poi piano piano iniziano un po' a sbloccarsi e a inserire le loro cose, a superare il momento.
And then they start to
superare il momento.
to cross the moment. I don't know how to explain in English.
Andare oltre.
They can be, they can go over the white page, the fear of the white page.
If I can, for example, one of the exercise can be inspiring to the artwork, do something as the artist. Yeah, just copy. Okay, but putting themselves in the same position or in the same remaking that artwork just to enter in the confidence with that language, or trying to use the same technique, copying. Yes, and then when they find, yes, of course, some of them are they adapt also, because they are not in an art school, but they have to understand that is not something that you can do in an aesthetic way, the best aesthetic way. It's something that you have to try, and then when you trying by trying, maybe some nice can grow. Then from copying to trying to do something more original, and then having this input from the teacher is very important. Also having a big dialogue, one by one, because this is very important and needs time. But as I said, we tried also in a small time with a group, maybe not so young. You can have some exercise to give them inputs. Or, for example, another input can be collect stuff in the beginning, and then working on them. Yeah, this can be another point. But it's very important that in the beginning they know that it's not that they have to make something that will be in the museum, in Galileo Museum, or in the beginning you have to be not so it is the most it's important that you can start slowly, okay, so they can have more confidence. Ila, volevi dire, torna? Cioè che all'inizio è un po'...
Assolutamente sì, esatto. E se vuoi puoi dire che io i miei studenti li vedo un'ora alla settimana per fare tutto questo.
Ok, so Ilaria has 1 hour in a week with these students, so they can make also big work at home and sending pictures or small videos or...
Esatto.
Could it be a group work as well? 2 people, 3 people together?
Ilaria, scusa, tu hai provato a fare anche gruppi, cioè hanno lavorato anche a gruppi?
No.
No.
Solo, no, singoli, no.
Until
Perché
now,
a gruppi c'è sempre chi lavora di più e chi non lavora per niente. Quindi...
Because in a group there is always someone who works more than another, and also one time we tried that exercise in the beginning, to start quickly, to having confidence with the American group, as I said. They had the first page working on that, then passing to the friend next to the next, and ask him something different, keeping the agenda from the next one, okay, like a circle. We tried these 3 or 4 times, so they had in the beginning 4 pages already done from different ends. And this has been great because it was not something that you have to do in the best way from the beginning. Okay, we are to the 5th page already. We are in the middle of the work already.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask to Natacha if in their work they found something similar to a diary in the, for example, in from science women scientists.
We don't listen to you, the microphone.
I muted. With Henrietta Leavitt, for example, for the astronomer of Harvard that worked at the Harvard Observatory, we displayed some pages from her notebooks, but there are a lot of other women astronomers that used notebooks with a lot of annotations, for example, Herschel, and so on. But it's diary in general, notebooks, private letters, especially when we study women and women presence in science are the preferred sources for our study, not publication, because usually women didn't publish their research. There were a lot of resistance to give them a public recognition. And so the manuscripts and diary, notebooks and private letters are considered the main way to address and to study their research.
May I ask something? Do you know if there are any myths or stories about these women that can, I am asking both Miss Natacha and Margie, if there are any myths or stories known about these women?
Margie, please.
Just try to unmute it. There, can you hear me? One of the women who Natasha has just mentioned, Caroline Herschel, who was an astronomer. She was born in Germany, but who then moved to Bath in England. And she was an amazing woman. She was apparently tiny. She was 4'3". She was brought up not to be, to have any profession, but in fact, just basically keep house for her family. But she moved to England and she lived with her brother. And he was a musician. And first of all, she became a very well-respected soprano. Then her brother became interested in astronomy. And she became his helper. And she started to do a lot of observations. And she recorded them all. And eventually, she discovered on her own some comets. And at one point, she had discovered a comet, and she was so excited about it. And her brother was not around. And she got on a horse and rode to tell the royal astronomer about this discovery. So she was an amazing woman. And there is a museum dedicated to her in Bath, to her and her brother William. And so I find her story to be absolutely amazing, and even more amazing because she accomplished so many different things. But when her brother died and she went back to Germany, she went back to keeping house for her mother. She did, in her spare time, she was able to continue her astrological observations. But what do you have to do to get recognized? But anyway, one of the things that we do at Calliope Arts is we publish a magazine every twice a year, and we will have a magazine coming out very soon, our spring issue. And we will have some wonderful stories and interviews with Natacha and with Laura and with Ilaria, and with beautiful photographs. And also there will be, there's an article about this woman, Caroline Herschel. So it will be available through our website. And so there's just wonderful information and wonderful photographs to look at. That we do also print some hard copies of the magazine, but not very many because it's just very expensive to do. But anyway, that's one source of information for you.
Thank you very much.
Any other question? Okay, if not, we will end this meeting, and please fill in the form so that I will send you the relevant material. Okay? Thank you, Margie. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Ilaria and Laura. And we'll meet again soon, sooner than expected. Okay.
And thank you to Yasmi, really, and to Elina for the big work, because it's great to be so many people talking together. So thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Yasmi. Thank you, Yasmi.
Thank you to everybody. It's really been a pleasure to take part in this.
Mm-hmm. And about the homework, if you are interested in doing a homework like an art book with your students, for example, or yourself, but it will be a good idea to use your students on that. If you do it, please send some samples to us as a pictures, I mean.
Yes, and we wait to Caserma Archeologica to have an exhibition with your agendas if you want. Should be nice to have agendas from different places. Can be the next step for this project. And so, yeah, now we have a canvas, embroidered canvas, moving from Italy to Greece, but then we can try with different methods, traveling. So.
And taking this opportunity, I would like to tell you that on September, we are going to have workshops live with people from Italy and another artist as well, Roberto Gecci, who they are going to come here and give us some live workshops. But for this, you are going to be informed after the Greek Eastern Time. Okay, I will stop recording now.